Watch is sponsored by Walls. A look at our latest satellite picture out of the Atlantic. Let's show you what's going on as we detail the tropical update. Here's the Atlantic Basin, which shows the blow-up of clouds. We're still watching Mitch. It's a tropical storm now, no longer a hurricane. Of course, it was on its way on a downward trend in terms of strength over the last 24 to 48 hours, and now it has been minimized to just a tropical storm. Other than Mitch, we don't have anything else going on across the Atlantic Basin in terms of organized tropical systems. Just a broad trough here over the central Atlantic with the higher clouds, but again, nothing else organized in terms of tropical development. Tropical storm Mitch. Now we have the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center. If you're still plotting with us on Mitch, it is centered at 15.4 degrees north, 86.1 degrees west, and that makes it about 50 miles east-southeast of La Ceiba, Honduras. Winds of 40 miles an hour. Can you believe that? The winds have dropped down to 40 miles an hour, and this is the same system that at one point just about 4 days ago had winds of 180 miles an hour. It's drifting west-southwest, and there you see the pressure up to 996 millibars. Again, it is no longer a hurricane. Now Mitch is only a tropical storm. So we have tropical storm warnings. They remain in effect along the coast of Honduras, Belize, and also northward toward the northern tip of the Baja Peninsula, territory of Mexico. And a hurricane watch has been issued for the coast of Belize because we are still watching this. It has the potential. It is possible that it could kind of move back north into the open waters. So we'll have to continue to watch this until it totally becomes a system that we don't think that there is even a chance that it could re-emerge back into open waters and cause additional problems. Now, talk about the problems it has caused. We've had reports of fatalities because of extremely heavy rain. You know, with tropical systems, you talk about just the prolific rains, and that's what we've seen over some 15, 20 inches, I'm sure, before all said and done. Even though it's no longer a hurricane and it's just a tropical storm, that means the winds are not as strong, but it doesn't mean that the moisture profile is not as great. So it is. Any tropical systems can dump off heavy, heavy rains, and that remains the major threat. Thus flooding, again, the biggest problem. Now, initially, the heaviest rain and the tidal flooding was near the Bay Islands off the coast of Honduras, but I'm sure that now some of that heavy rain has moved as far south as Nicaragua, which is here. This is the border of Honduras and Nicaragua, and you can see some of the higher clouds have already moved into the country of Nicaragua. So heavy rains, I'm sure, additionally, 10 to 20 inches are possible over the next 24 hours. We will continue to watch it as we go through the day for you. We do not think that this system will make a major impact on the lower 48, not even a big minor impact. Certainly if it continues on this trend and stays inland and weakens even more so. But if it somehow makes its way across the Yucatan Peninsula into the southern Bay of Campeche, we'll have to watch our system across the southwest, because this could dig enough of a trough to kind of pull the system northward. But of course there are no significant signs that that will happen. We'll just continue to watch the system as it affects Honduras at this point. Right now, the system over the southwest is just causing problems in terms of rain, the lower elevations, and the snow in the higher terrain. This is the same system that dumped off heavy rains and downpours yesterday in the Burbank area. We're watching another system swing across the Ohio Valley, and our low pressure just to north of the border here near Nova Scotia continues to cause problems in northern Maine. And across New England, it'll be another windy day with those northwest winds. I think this system will continue to move east, could put some showers into the Pittsburgh area, but this will be our strongest system of the three, and we'll have more details on this next on Weather Center.
It's a raw, blustery day as chilly winds howl across parts of the Northeast. Weather across the nation, plus an update on Mitch next on Weather Center after your local forecast.
This program was sponsored by Walls, leading the way outdoors.
If you work outside for a living, you should know Walls makes clothes to fit any job. We've been keeping working folks comfortable for over 50 years, with clothes for every season. Because we know working outside isn't a picnic, unless it's lunchtime. Walls, leading the way outdoors.
Walls quality outerwear is available at a retailer near you.
Well, during this edition of Storm Watch, we're going to talk about severe weather beginning to break out in the southern plains. That'll be lingering right through later on this afternoon. But first, we're going to take a look at our tropical update and feature tropical storm Mitch, which is still holding on in the western Caribbean. And with that story, we go to John Hope, our hurricane expert.
Thank you, Will, and good morning, everyone. Yes, we still have Mitch out there. Mitch not nearly as strong as it was wind-wise, but I'm afraid the rain has not abated very much. And I'm sure you've heard stories out of Honduras and Nicaragua. This is a disaster, really, of major proportions. Primarily the last few days because of the heavy rain. Earlier on, the Bay Islands had experienced winds well in excess of hurricane force, so there was a lot of damage there. But this rain has not abated very much, and this is typical of a tropical system. Even when it weakens from a hurricane to a tropical storm, or even goes down to a depression, the rain can continue. And the very fact that this isn't moving very much makes it rain over the same area for a very long time, and that does cause a lot of trouble. Now, in the rest of the tropics, nothing to be concerned about. We have a front here, and that has brought some showers to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. More than an inch of rain yesterday in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Some showers around Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands this morning, but that's not a system that's going to develop into a tropical depression or anything of that nature. Here's the latest information for you on Mitch. Centered at 15.3 north, 86.2 west. That's 55 miles east-southeast of La Ceiba and Honduras. Sustained winds are down to 40 miles an hour, barely moving at all toward the west-southwest about 2. And that's just about no movement. The pressure estimated now, we haven't had a reconnaissance aircraft in there recently, 997 millibars. There's been a little bit of change in the watches, no change in the warnings recently. We still have tropical storm warnings out for the north coast of Honduras, for the coast of Guatemala, Belize, and the eastern part of the Yucatan Peninsula. Here's the latest, one thing I wanted to point out, that the hurricane watch that was in effect for the east coast of Belize has now been discontinued. We're still seeing extremely heavy rain here as depicted in the whiter clouds. I'll go ahead now and colorize these tops for you. And the colorized tops indicate where the tops are the highest and therefore the coldest. And that pretty well coincides with where the heavier rain is. Now, we had not seen any tropical storm force winds for a while until just recently. We got a report on from one of the Bay Islands, Roatan here, still gusting to almost 70 miles an hour, sustained winds about 45 miles an hour. So there's still quite a bit of wind out there. Now, the National Hurricane Center intends to dispatch reconnaissance aircraft out there this afternoon to check it out. But looking at some of these cloud tops here, a lot of heavy rain still over portions of Nicaragua and Honduras. So far, we've been able to verify about 25 or so fatalities in Honduras and about 12 in Nicaragua. And we hope that that number won't get larger, but we are a little bit apprehensive about that. This is an early morning visible picture, and right in there is the island of Roatan, still gusting, but the center of circulation is down here inland about 25 miles maybe, and as long as that stays inland, we feel pretty confident that this storm won't get any stronger. But on the other hand, since it isn't moving much, heavy rain is going to continue. So that's the tropics for this time. Now let's come back to Will, and he'll fill us in about what's going on here in the USA. Will?
Thanks a lot, John. We'll take a look at our current weather map. We'll talk about a blustery day likely for the northeastern part of the country. Those winds will be subsiding slowly but surely later on tonight. Also, a very intense storm system east of Nova Scotia is bringing back some rain in eastern Maine at the present time, maybe mixing with some snow this afternoon. Severe weather is going to be in the cards today from northern parts of Texas, much of the state of Oklahoma, and we could be looking at some snow breaking out around Denver, Colorado. That could be the story come later on tonight and early morning tomorrow, especially in the foothills. Heavier storms in Oklahoma, looking at diminishing showers over the Ohio Valley, spreading on eastbound. And of course, you can see the rain in Maine spreading southwestward now with those strong north and northwesterly winds backing in now, driving down some very, very cold weather. Well, more on the nation's weather coming up in just a minute.
Cold, blustery winds blow through parts of the Northeast. For weather in your area and across the nation, stay tuned for Weather Center after your local forecast.
Listen to this. You can save up to 50% or more on real estate through bank foreclosures. Introducing the Foreclosure magazine, the most timely, accurate, and complete source for bank foreclosure information available anywhere. Hear for yourself the results.
We got this handyman special worth $65,000 for only $12,000.
We saved over $50,000. I never thought we could afford property like this.
Our subscription to Foreclosure magazine helped us to save more than $250,000.
My neighbors paid over $50,000 for their condos. With Foreclosure magazine, I found a bank foreclosure for less than $20,000 and saved over $30,000.
Call now and learn how to get this free video with all the steps to buying foreclosures. Learn how the pros buy foreclosed property.
Thanks, Foreclosure magazine.
Thank you, Foreclosure magazine.
At this moment, severe storms threaten parts of New Mexico and West Texas. We'll have more on that coming up here on Storm Watch. But first, our tropical update with the Weather Channel's Dr. Steve Lyons.
Well, thank you, Dan, and welcome to the tropical update. For all you trick-or-treaters out there, at least for tomorrow night, no tropical weather is going to affect your trick-or-treating. That's good news, at least in the United States. You can see here on the large-scale picture, we still have that delineation between the tropical air to the south here and mostly mid-latitude air up and through here, and that's going to pretty much stay put. Our biggest emphasis right now is still on Mitch, still becoming no stronger, but we have had upgrades in winds. I'll show you that in just a second. Elsewhere in the tropics, no tropical development. We don't expect any of it the next 24 to 36 hours or even through the weekend. Still have that pesky frontal boundary affecting the Leeward Islands and all the way over into the Puerto Rico area, but nothing in the way of extremely heavy rainfall. Now here's the latest on Tropical Storm Mitch as of 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Winds are now up to 60 miles per hour. That's not associated with an intensity increase. It's rather associated with finding additional information that oftentimes we do not see. And so the Hurricane Center's increased the winds to 60 miles per hour based on some new observations. I'll show you where those are in just one second. Moving to the west-southwest at 3 miles per hour, and it's still over land and going to stay over land the next 24 hours or so, 45 miles south of La Ceiba in Honduras. Now, there's still tropical storm warnings up basically all along the Yucatan Peninsula and all along the north coast of Honduras, and that will probably stay there with the expectation that tropical storm force winds could affect these areas. Right now, most of the stronger winds are confined to a very narrow area near the coast of Honduras and over into southern Belize. If we look at the visual satellite imagery here, you can see a huge mass of moisture still sitting here, and that's really the problem we have with Mitch right now, is the huge amount of rainfall that's occurring in the already devastated areas and some areas that are already flooding. And that's going to persist the next 24 hours. We don't see any way to get rid of that rain with the system center about right here and drifting very slowly to the west-southwest. We don't see it moving off of land either. It will continue up maybe in a little more west-northwest direction, but stay over land, which is good news. It will not redevelop, but the rainfall will continue to be very, very heavy. We can see here on our colorized infrared, a lot of shower activity persisting. Now, some of the areas that were really hit hard by rain, now it looks like maybe just some light rain, but that will come back probably in thunder shower activity off and on through the night. Now down here in Nicaragua, in the greater Managua area, that heavy rain we saw yesterday is still sitting there. As a matter of fact, some of these cloud tops are extremely cold, and I'm sure there is flooding occurring there. If you know anybody that lives near rivers or streams in that general area, they probably have been ordered to evacuate there, but this could be a major problem flooding-wise down there, well away from the circulation center. So we'll keep you updated on Mitch throughout the rest of the evening and into the weekend. You have a good weekend in the United States. Now let's get back to weather in the continental United States, and here's Dan.
And thanks very much, Dr. Steve. We take a look at the U.S. current map, and we find at the trailing end of a stationary front some heavy weather occurring over portions of West Texas and New Mexico. And also right along the same front we have seen during the day some showers and some occasional thunderstorms over portions of Oklahoma. At this time you're getting the showers on through the Tulsa area, moving on toward the north and east. Wichita, the rain has begun for you, and it could very well be some thunder and lightning in store for you. Moving back across the area of Denver, there is snow falling in the Colorado Rockies, and also possibility for some showers for you in the Denver area. But taking the broader view, right here over southeastern portions of New Mexico and west portions of Texas, there is unsettled weather with tornado warnings in effect for DeBaca County and east central New Mexico. Doppler radar having indicated a possible tornado moving east at 30 miles per hour. And the storm was moving towards Tabon, New Mexico. So take shelter immediately if you're in the path of this possible tornado. Also, Ward County in western Texas, a tornado warning in effect with Doppler radar and spotter reports having indicated a tornado moving toward the towns of Barstow and Peyote. Stay with us for complete details on this unsettled weather and what's happening elsewhere across the country.
Folks in the Northeast get a cold, windy start to the Halloween weekend. Find out if your weather will be a treat. Watch Weather Center after your local forecast.
What happens when the chickens get into the tequila? Tequila Lime Chicken, only at Applebee's. Tangy tequila lime marinated chicken on a bed of crunchy tortillas, then smothered in cheese. There are other tastes of the Great Southwest, too, like our Santa Fe Quesadilla Combo and Southwestern Sirloin. 7 new lunch and dinner favorites here for a limited time. So don't be chicken, you belong at Applebee's.
There are those among us with very simple tastes. They only want the best. And for them, there's Fancy Feast gourmet cat food.
Severe thunderstorms still going on across parts of West Texas, anywhere from, well, near the Midland, Odessa vicinity, all the way up to near Amarillo, where there is some locally heavy rains and some flash flooding is being realized. Let's start with the tropics, though, in this edition of Storm Watch, which is sponsored by Touchstone Energy. All right, first things first of the big picture, and really the only game in town as far as the tropics, whether it be the East Pacific, the West Pacific, or the Atlantic, has been Mitch. Mitch started off here north of Panama, then became an unbelievably strong hurricane about 4 days ago, earlier this week, when it had maximum sustained winds of 180 miles an hour. Just unbelievable. Probably would, in fact it was, pressure-wise, in the top 5 of all Atlantic hurricanes. It was just amazing. It tied Camille for that honor. Then it moved to the west and has gradually weakened, down from hurricane status now to tropical storm Mitch. With winds still at 50 miles an hour, most of those gusty winds on the Honduran coast. The center of the circulation has been over land for the better part of a day now in central Honduras. So that should pretty much mandate a continued weakening of tropical storm Mitch. Estimated central pressure about 1,000 millibars. We're talking about tropical storm warnings from Cabo Catoche, Mexico, in the Quintana Roo province, all along Cancun and Cozumel, then down toward Belize, and then the Guatemalan border area here, coastal area, as well as the northern Honduran coast. Oddly enough, some of the strongest rains right now, the heaviest rain, is actually on the south side of this whole system, on the Pacific side, not on the Atlantic coast so much. And the reason for that is we are getting the flow, of course, counterclockwise around the center, which is located about right in here. But the flow coming around this this tropical storm is bringing Pacific moisture and banking it up against the mountains here along the Central American coastal areas, from El Salvador, eastern El Salvador, on over into southern Honduras and northwest Nicaragua. That is where the torrential rains have been falling. And I got to tell you, this has been going on for the better part of a day or so now. So the rain here has got to be just incredible, and I'm sure there's a lot of flooding going on. The question now becomes, what happens to Mitch from this point on? Well, the forecast computer models all continue to indicate that eventually Mitch is going to get picked up by a trough moving out of the south one, the same one that's causing the severe weather in West Texas and New Mexico, that eventually as that pulls east, this system, or what's left of it, will get pulled up to the north. Now, we don't think there's going to be much left of it as it moves out into the Gulf of Mexico, if that's what happens. But it really has defied any attempts to turn it to the north. Any forecast. It has generally drifted to the west-southwest the last couple of days, and until we start to see a change in that motion, we'll pretty much figure that the rain in Central America is going to be the main threat here. The U.S., even if it does come north, it's just going to be maybe a rain producer as it moves up north, and that would be about it. Probably sometime earlier, the middle part of next week, if it happens. Big dome of high pressure really controlling the Gulf now, and that has been what has been suppressing Mitch to the south. But as this upper level low spinning about here in western Arizona slowly pulls east and interacts with unstable air, that is why we've been having the severe thunderstorm action in parts of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. Several reports of some tornado touchdowns as we've headed on through the evening hours. No reports of any damage, but some hail upwards of baseball size near Clovis, New Mexico earlier. And at least for the next few minutes, there still is a tornado watch out for West Texas and southeast New Mexico. One big supercell down here moving into Andrews County, Texas. Earlier, a tornado warning out for that cell, but that warning, at least the tornado warning, has been canceled. And there are flash flood warnings out all over the place around here, Amarillo and the Panhandle area for this continued heavy rain. Be careful driving in this area tonight.
Tropical storm Mitch continues to pound flood-ravaged Honduras. What effect could it have on the U.S.? An update, plus your Halloween conditions next on Weather Center after your local forecast.
This program was sponsored by Touchstone Energy. We are America's electric cooperatives.
Partnership means growth. That's the way it's been for America's electric co-ops and America's businesses and communities. We've always kept affordable power flowing steadily and reliably. Now, we're joining other local co-ops to form a nationwide alliance, Touchstone Energy, to ensure state-of-the-art technology and personalized service. It's the power of human connections. We are America's electric cooperatives.
Nature gave you a backbone to help you absorb everyday shocks. That's the reason we gave Jimmy backbone. Like any truck worth its weight, it's built on a full-length steel frame. So Jimmy can handle...
We'll talk about some heavy rainfall in the central and southern plains.